Thanks for tuning in. This is optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys Movie Masterpiece Series 237 of the 1/6 scale Mark II Whiplash from Iron Man 2. As you can see for the package, very similar to a lot of the other actual die-cast figures, in that it's got that separate kind of plastic on the outside that has some art on there, and then it gives a three-dimensional image on there. Really very cool. And then as you come down, you can see that it has the Whiplash Mark II logo, and then this section here does slide off and separate, revealing the heavy-duty foam insert that says Whiplash Mark II. So lifting that out, setting that off to the side, and then this section here in the very front just slides out, and you got a whole bunch of stuff that falls out of them. Now, all of this is designed to protect the figure and keep it from rubbing, and for the most part does a pretty good job. Just when you're done with it, you just kind of have a bit of a mess, so you just throw all that in there just like that, kind of stuff it all in, and you kind of make sure that you leave that little foam piece right on there. But it's that real heavy-duty foam that all the die-cast figures come with. And then on the back of the actual plastic section, you can see the cast and crew responsible for making this figure. But for the packaging, that's about it for the guy. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Mark II version of Whiplash opened up and out of his packaging. And honestly, this guy's a bit of a mixed bag for me. Honestly, for the most part, because I completely skipped out on the very first Whiplash figure. It was just not a character that really kind of pulled me in. I mean, I really enjoyed Iron Man 2, but I didn't feel that as a villain, he was just all that intimidating, I guess. I mean, when we first saw him in the attack scene with this first version of the Whiplash sort of thing, it was really kind of short. I mean, it was cool. It unveiled the Mark V, which was really neat, but it was like, boom, over and done with. And then the end with the Mark II, he came out and he battled Iron Man and War Machine, and again, real quick, and it was over. So I just didn't get that sense of imposing doom, I guess, with him. But there is no mistaking that Hot Toys has done an incredible job recreating the Mark II suit in all of its extreme detail. Now, starting off first, taking a look at his accessories, he doesn't come with a heck of a lot. You can see that he does come with a rather long, well, actually comes with two of them, of the actual whip sort of thing. You can see that it does have this lightning effect going on it. It is a separate piece that you just kind of wrap around and you twist and things like that to kind of create that just generic look, I guess, that lightning is coming off of the pieces. It's kind of cool. I do appreciate it. You can see very flexible. It is a rubber, but it also has this translucent bit on here, so really very neat. I mean, coming in here, you can see some great detail on there, but it's very simple. And like I said, you do get two of those, obviously, for both his right and left arm. So that's that. And again, you know, the other one also does have the really cool lightning effect that, like I said, you just kind of go around over and over again to kind of create that look or whatever. But depending on how you do it, it may be a little bit too short on kind of both ends. If you move it all the way up where the hands would be, you have that, and you have like a really long bit right down here that just doesn't have anything. So it's kind of unfortunate that the entire length of this doesn't have this really cool lightning effect. Now, that's something that I would really have liked to have seen. But if you do want to just use one of these in your display, you could probably take this and double up and put it on just one of his actual whips. So you do have that, and I do appreciate that. That's really very cool. He does come with an extra battle damage chest piece. The one that's on him is die cast. There's a lot of die cast in this guy, and it's very difficult to tell which pieces are die cast, but it is a fairly substantial figure. But you got the battle damage section right here that just has one section kind of ripped off, and then he does come with an alternate Mickey Rourke head sculpt, which really is quite nice. Coming in to take a look at that as best as I can, really very nice detail on there that absolutely captures that likeness. Now you do have a face shield that I just had on there that can go on there. It's magnetic, so you can leave it up just like so if you really wanted to, and it also comes down just like so, and then you interchange this with the light up head one, so either or works perfectly good. But that is a great sculpt on there. I really do wish that you had an alternate head that had none of this on there, because a lot of the scene before he actually, like, you know, put his battle mask down was just his completely blank head. I really wish that Hot Toys had did that, especially with all the detail with his kind of straggly hair. But all in all, really great head sculpt on this. This is really quite impressive. One of their best. I mean, there's some great detail in terms of scratches right there. You got some facial hair and everything. And like I said, you do have the magnetic section on there, and you got some real great detail just in general with the overall look of this, especially with a lot of the battle damage and everything on there. I mean, you can really see with the welding marks and things like that, especially like down here and across here, that this is a homemade suit, that he really did piece this together. And Hot Toys, again, did a great job of putting all those little minute details in there to really bring home that this is just something that's kind of thrown together, but really very cool. And then for the other accessory that he has, he comes with this diorama display piece. You got some battle broken pieces or whatever. You got some sections right here, probably parts of hammer drones. You got some rocks on here which are a little bit glossy, probably to replicate how the rocks would look a little bit more wet. I guess this is kind of in that valley where there was that creek, so maybe that's what this is in reference to, but it kind of comes across as fake looking and very plasticky because of how shiny those are. So I'm not a very big fan of that. I really almost would have preferred just maybe some regular rocks on there instead of kind of replicating that riverbed or something like that. But then you have this very nice actual metal pole with the crotch cradle. It's not a grabbing hook or anything like that. You just kind of put that up between his legs, and that's how you stabilize them. Now, well, getting this out of the way and taking a look at the figure himself. Now, before I get onto the figure, I do again want to stress the importance of going over the user manual when you get these Hot Toy figures, specifically here with Whiplash. I mean, there's a lot of good information in here, specifically talking about the amount of articulation, how to put the batteries in, obviously, and where the batteries go, and then what actually does move on it. This is really very important because this utilizes a lot of kind of parts that hang off of them, combined with the fact that this is a whole new kind of body. You do really want to be very, very careful. Now, obviously, I took his faceplate off, but this guy does look really very cool. There is so much detail on here, again, much like the helmet, that really does highlight the kind of Frankenstein nature that this armor really does have. I mean, looking throughout all of it, there's just so much intricate detail on this whole piece. And you can really see where a lot of the various items came from, especially here down in the feet. When Ivan Vanko designed the suit, he was working for Hammer Industries and he was designing the drones. So a lot of the elements that went into the drones are also here. And you can see it very plainly here in the feet, especially when you talk about the fact that these come down like that, which I'll highlight here in just a little bit. But you can see that Vanko really did utilize whatever was at his disposal to kind of weld everything together to create this new, even more powerful suit to take on Tony. Now, for some of the details, this section comes off. This is metal. When you're feeling around, you do want to feel the kind of cool part. Like this section right here feels metal. This section here feels metal. You're just kind of touching things to see what actually is metal on them. And like I said, this piece is all metal. It is magnetically attached. So swapping that out, this is plastic, but it does have the metal bits right there. You just put that right on there, and now you have his battle damage look, which really isn't all that different than just a regular piece. It's just one giant chunk taken out, but that's one piece that I think that would have been much better just kind of left off, honestly. I mean, if you only have one piece that's battle damage, what's kind of the point in the rest of it? I mean, you can't really display them as battle damage because you just got one piece. But I mean, again, all these details in here. Now, coming around here to the back, you can see just how those actual whips do incorporate in his actual body. Now, lifting these little pieces up and coming in nice and close to it, you can see some of the wires coming up here, and then you can see on the inside here, it actually carries in. You got the whips that go around there, and that's where they actually bend. You can see they actually move. As you bend his elbow, it might not show up. I mean, you can kind of see it actually, yeah. you can see that wire moving, and coming down here to the rest of the body, you can see where the whips here come on the back. Now those are all extra that are added to it just to kind of complete that overall look, but in general, really very cool. Now putting this back down, I'll stay here in the back because there's a lot of great detail just in this. Really intricate. You can see all the panels. Now actually these panels here are supposed to be covered up by these pieces right here, but I left them off. Let's see, which way did they go? There we go. I left them off because that's the battery section, and it's a little bit easier to get to, so I'm just going to leave those off, but you do get two that sit right on there just like that. But all that intricate detail on the entire armor really is very, very cool looking. Coming down, you can see the pistons that are here that just look and add a wonderful amount of detail to it. Sliding out his arms to kind of look at some of that. I mean, even looking at the arms, amazing amount of detail. Come all the way down here to his kind of skirt pieces. These pieces here do lift up. You can see the back of his legs there. They have like little piston things on there that attach to it, but they don't really do much. But again, real great detail coming all the way down. You can see the weld marks, all the battle damage and scratches and such, and then you come down to the feet, and these are really very cool. One thing that's weird though is as I look at it, and folding this down, I have no idea where his feet actually go in here. Now, I'm assuming his feet are like here, but that's just kind of strange looking because there's definitely no foot there. So I'm assuming that the foot's somewhere else. So, I mean, that's really strange. But you got these little pieces that come down, and you saw him deploy these to hold down. I don't remember if it was Iron Man or if it was War Machine, but he used that. And they're actually pieces that were used in one of the Hammer drones. I don't remember again which one it was, if it was the Army one or whatever, but those like lock down and boom, and then you can even see that these pieces here are actually on springs, so that does spring out, which is really very cool. That just kind of flops down to stabilize the leg and give you a more sturdy stance and things like that. So like I said, all those other pieces that were used in the drones, you can see kind of incorporated in various parts here. And then again here in the front, great amount of detail in the legs. You got all the pistons, all the working, moving kind of parts, and as we come back up, you got the front skirt right there. This section here is actually plastic, but these ones feel like metal, so you do have more metal ones here in the front, but again, great detail right there. The battle damage is substantial and extremely detailed on this guy. Coming up again, there you have the arc reactor in his chest piece. Again, taking this off so that you can see that a little bit better. Real cool. That's his own design. And as he told Tony, he actually doubled the power on it to get more of a high intensity output for his new whips. Again, looking at the arms, great amount of detail on here. You got his little machine gun kind of things right there. Real, very, almost overly detailed. It's so wicked how this guy looks. Now, he does have several light up features on here. The first, obviously, being his eyes. Now, you just take that off, light that up, put that back on, and now you have his eyes lit up. Now, one thing that I don't particularly like is it just uses the white light. I really do wish it was more of a blue color. It had a more blue tint in the film itself, so I really would have preferred the more accurate color to it. And then you come around here to the back. This section right here, when you flip this on, will light up his arc reactor. As you can see, real nice bright LED light inside there. And then you have another section right here that when you turn it on, it lights up along the side of his head. You can see that light switching on. It really does look cool and kind of lights up the side of his head, but also when you come around here to the back, it also lights up these thrusters, which looks really very cool. I did not expect that at all, but I really do appreciate it. So setting that there, getting him to actually stand, let's take his chest piece, put that right back on there so that you can see what that looks like with it. And then he also does light up here in the hands. Now, this is a little bit weird. Again, I'm not a big fan of how they incorporated this, to be totally honest, but lifting this up, you got the little switch right here. This is what lights up, and it's designed to light up his whips. The problem, though, is as you see, you just put it in there, it doesn't, getting that all the way in, it doesn't really light up too much of it. A lot of the light is just coming from, or the light up of this is just coming from my lights in general. You can see it really only lights up this section right there, so that's really very unfortunate. And even if I turn the lights off, you're not going to see a heck of a lot. So that's kind of unfortunate, but I still like it. I think that's a cool touch. I just really think that they could have done a better job with it, but I honestly don't even know how they could have, because the light would have to be like super intense in order to permeate through this entire section. But you can see that's what's cool about it. Now you get that whole thing, bringing that down, coming around here to the back, you can see how it kind of looks like it carries all the way through. You got the section up here, you got the added section down here. You can remove that and make it look like it's actually retracted in, and then you can put that in there, make it look like it's extended out. So really very, very cool. Now turning these lights off on the arms and even the head, because you can see that the batteries do not last all that long. They're just the standard batteries that come with the Hot Toy figures. So honestly, I don't think that they're the greatest of batteries. You could probably get better ones, but setting this back down, getting all this stuff kind of off to the side for right now. To swap out his head, you just pull this section off. Go ahead, take the actual visor piece off. We're going to put that on this guy and then pop that down just like so. So now you have that look, which again, really very cool, but I kind of like it like that, so leaving it there. Now for his articulation, again, you do want to be very careful. The head is on a ball joint, so oh well, I didn't even push it all the way down, so all right, there we go. So you can see that you got a nice range of motion with it. Get that out of the way. It does rotate left and right. It does look up and down, but it is limited because of the shoulder pieces right there, but you do get a nice range of motion with it. The shoulders, they do move in and out like so. You do want to be careful. Kind of lift this up and you can move that up. You can hear the ratchet at that point. There's two different joints that kind of move here. One that doesn't have the ratchet, and then just on the ball joint section. And lifting these up, kind of get it out of the way so that you can have some clearance with it. So you do get a nice range of motion there. These little bits right here actually do, you can see they collapse in and they pull out. You want to pull them out when you're doing that, but angling this up like so, collapsing that all the way in, that's kind of the standard position for them. So when you pull it out, you do get that in and out motion. You do get a more forward and back motion as well. They obviously do rotate. Coming around here to the back, you can see that this section is attached to the lower elbow or lower part of the arm. So while this does rotate, you can see as it does rotate, it kind of moves along this little piece right here. So you do want to be careful not overdo it. Also, like I said, go over the instructions because they actually cover this. When you bend the elbow, you can see it bends a little bit right there, and then you got a couple elbow ratchets that move it up a little bit more, basically giving you a 90-degree bend. But because this is attached, it does create some tension on there, and this section right here on the underside is a sharpish kind of edge, so you do want to be careful and not keep a lot of tension on this rubber piece. It could potentially be damaged over time, so just be aware of it, be careful, but that articulation is still there. And again, you got the great pistons that move as the arms move. Really very cool. It rotates up there. The hands are a little bit different. They aren't as articulated as, say, the Iron Man ones. They're not on ball joints at the knuckles. They do all have individual motion with it, but they're not ball jointed, so you don't get a lot of forward and back or in and out or anything. It just opens and closes, so you can't spread them out and do a peace sign or something like that. So it's not too bad because it holds the whips pretty good, so I'm fairly content with how that is. Now getting this up, you can see he does rotate at the waist pretty easily. There's not much restriction there, but then he also does extend. I might already have, oh no, I already have him extended. So he collapses down and then he rotates, and then you can extend him up, and then you get the side-to-side motion and forward and back just like so. Very little, but it is there. And then when you come around here to the back, you can see that those pistons actually do flex as you do move them. So I mean, really cool that they included that. And then you just collapse it back down, kind of locks it back in a position like so. For the legs, this is basically the normal leg position, and from this spot, lifting this forward, you can move it about that far. That's really about it. But you can then also take the leg extend it down, it slides, and then you can get a more 90-degree range of motion with it. So a lot of articulation in there, and it's all facilitated by a lot of these collapsing joints, which is really very cool. He does rotate here at the upper part of the thigh, so the leg rotation is all right there. The knees have two joints. Again, you can see the piston moves forward and back just like so. The feet move forward, back. You got a toe pivot right there, and they move side to side. So a lot of range of motion on this guy. You wouldn't necessarily expect it because of how clunky and just massive he is, but it's all still there, and that's really quite impressive if you ask me. But you do, again, have to be very careful because you don't want to overdo some of the motions and damage any of the panels that are hanging off of them. And for a size comparison, here you see the Mark II Whiplash next to the Mark VI version of the Iron Man. And as you can see, not only is he taller, but just in general a much more massive figure. I mean, this is really quite substantial when you look at the overall increased size of this particular piece. And just in general, these two look great together. Now, taking this, putting this in here just to kind of complete Whiplash's look, sliding that in there, and I'm going to show you how you can have him grab him with his hand. So you got that, and then again you just bring him up and then collapse the fingers around the actual whip itself. It's not all that easy for me to do because I'm not very coordinated. I don't have coordination. So bring that up like so, bring the thumb in there. So there's that. Let's do it on this side as well. But all in all, despite my opinion of how the actual movie turned out with him as a character, I really think that the figure turned out beautifully. Now, I'm gonna turn these lights off because, like I said, they don't last too terribly long on these little figure. Oh, I didn't even put his head all the way down, but putting that on there. In general, the whole thing just comes together so very nicely. All the detail, all the panels, everything on here, from the paint details to the sculpting, everything is top notch. As I said, the Mickey Rourke sculpt on here is really quite impressive, and it's one of their best, at least to date. The only thing that I would have liked more would be a completely unhelmeted head version. I think that would have been much better than having the headpiece kind of wrapped around his actual face. That would probably honestly be the only thing that I would change on this set. I do understand why they kind of incorporated the light section here with his whips. I just don't think it was implemented very well. I mean, it's still a pretty bright light, as you could see. It's just the whips are obviously too long to get that light to travel all the way through it. But I still appreciate the attempt. Now, one other thing that I do want to mention is that this is a little bit of an expensive piece. And because of that, that may turn some collectors off, especially when you consider that he really doesn't come with much. He's got his whips, he's got a battle damage chest piece, which doesn't really fit with anything else because there's no real other battle damage anywhere else on him, and then you get an extra head. So what you're paying for really is the size of the figure and the die cast. So because of that, the next question is this guy worth it? Now, honestly, I really do feel that he is. He's a larger size figure, he's got a lot of die-cast elements in him, and hey, he's a bad guy. We don't get a lot of those, honestly, but I don't see every collector running out and getting this. I really see this as kind of being a hardcore Iron Man collectible that casual collectors of the Hot Toy figures probably wouldn't necessarily want. But since I am a fan of Iron Man and obviously I'm collecting all the figures, this is one that I was really very happy to pick up. Despite, as I said, not really having too much of an appreciation for Whiplash in the film, the figure really does display quite nicely. So if you are interested in picking this guy up, he is available right now at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can pick this guy up and add him to your collection today. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/optibotimus. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, see what I have coming up for future release, and also get your very own Optibotimus t-shirt. And finally, I'd also really appreciate it, guys, that if you like this review, Don't forget to please like and comment, and be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a future review. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.